Awesome. So good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to our Australia Unicorn Cup competition. So great to have you with us here in sunny Australia. My name is Lisa Slood. I'm the general partner of R3I Capital, and it's my great privilege to bring our Australian founders to the world through the world's largest startup pitch competition, the Unicorn Pitch. For those of you who are not familiar, Unicorn Pitch is founded by Ukrainian founders. And so we've got a huge desire to support our compatriots with donations, live goods, and anything else that you can consider that might help them in this hour of need. We do this as part of our push to help Australian founders get access to more diverse realms of capital, but more importantly, to push a little deal tension into the Australian ecosystem and make sure that you're getting a fair valuation. I'm joined today by my good friends from around the world who are here to discover great founders, but also to provide you with access to know-how, knowledge, and network that'll help you scale faster offshore. And I know many of you today have just returned from your international events, both in capital raising and market opening. Today's has a little bit of a bent to it. Many of the founders here on this call are attributing their impact to a net zero economy. And so really privileged to showcase some of Australia's best impact entrepreneurs and also best governance entrepreneurs. We're joined by a number of our cybersecurity experts who are showcasing their cyber talent to the world, both through the Australian trade organizations that are set up around the world and also on their own international affairs. And I'm privileged to have Mike from Dronesec and Mike from Truth here with us today, who are our impact governance pioneers, really transforming the financial markets and our safety, security, and surveillance in smart cities. I'd like to go around the room and just introduce our founders, and I might start at the top of the table with you, Andy, down in sunny Melbourne. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. Lovely meeting all of you from cold and beautiful Melbourne. So yeah, like Lisa said, I'm originally born and bred from Melbourne, local here. Just recently actually took a 3-month stint in Silicon Valley and just been back for about 3 weeks now. So yeah, really excited to present our company to all of you.
And Detexion is another leader in cybersecurity. They're absolutely transforming the mid-market of cybersecurity, making great VC firms like ours cyber compliant and really transforming access to cyber risk governance for small, medium enterprises all across the world. So fantastic to have you with us, Andy. I'm going to hand it over now to Mike Simpson in sunny Sydney at Truth.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks. Mike Simpson from Truth. And the mission of Truth is to deliver the world's most accurate, secure, and user-friendly digital identity services. So yeah, very pleased to be with you today and sharing some of our thoughts and our business model.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mike. And I'm now going to hand over to Rubens Technologies. And I believe I still have Daniel online. Daniel, over to you. You're on mute, Daniel. I'll come back to you. Still on mute. I'm going to hand over now to Anastasia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anastasia Reno, and we are a fairly new startup here on the Gold Coast. We edit on the spot, and we automate video editing for content creators.
Awesome. Thanks, Anastasia. I'm going to hand over to you, Ash Baxter. Where are you based today?
So I'm based in Brisbane along with Mark and Phil. So they're actually investors in my startup, and they're the ones who I found out about this from like about 5 hours ago. So it's very surprising, but really exciting to be here and to meet all of you. So my company, Monty Compost Co, has basically developed an IoT monitoring device for composting. So I'm really excited to share the good word of that with you guys, because a lot of people aren't very across compost and the amazing benefits and potential it has. So yeah, I'm really keen for that.
Great, thanks, Ash. And I'm going to hand over to you, Nick, at Farmo.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I'm Nick Seymour from Farmo down in Melbourne too, where it's a bit chilly. And what we're trying to do is make sure that when animals run out of water, they don't stay that way for long, and an alert gets sent to whoever's responsible for them, and they can go out and they can fix the problem right away. So we've got a little device to show you later.
Muted at the moment, Lisa, sorry.
Sorry, everybody. Noisy typer. I'm going to hand over to Mike at Dronesec.
Yeah, awesome to be here, and thanks for all the attendees. So my name is Mike. I'm the founder and CEO of Dronesec, and we focus on protecting hovering laptops, i.e. drones, really unlocking their potential for sustainability and innovation in the area. Look, we're based in Melbourne, but we're making an impact in Ukraine at the moment, and that's why it's really an honor to be here, especially given the founder's background with the startup competition. So thanks for bringing me on.
Awesome. Really happy to have you with us. And Julian from sunny Bali, at the X0 Carbon. Over to you, Julian.
Yeah, hi, Julian here. Thank you, Lisa, for having us here from the Australians' favorite holiday destination, Bali, which has also these days a quite interesting startup culture for people who have not been aware of that. But obviously, Southeast Asia is booming. Bali is booming at this point, might be the last boom destination in the world right now. My background is usually I sit on the other side. So this is, thank you, Lisa, the first time I'm back on the startup seat in years. I usually run a fund for the German Ministry of Economics. My biggest investor did 2 IPOs last year, been raising funds for the last 20 years, run VC-based companies for Kleiner Perkins, Wellington, Triple Point Capital, a little bit of a veteran in the clean energy industry for a long period of time. As I said, last year we did Lilium Aviation and Sonar Motors SPACs in the US. But here today, I'm talking about something that's less of a company. It's more my life's mission that I've been working on for the last 15 years. And that is efficient conversion of all different kinds of waste streams into clean hydrogen. And as we're trying to wean ourselves off Russian gas imports, this has become incredibly vital at this point, super, super hot. And so I'm kind of coming out of retirement here. We just won the tender for the city of Paris to convert the household waste into hydrogen and replace Russian gas with that. So it's worth my time coming out of retirement, and good to be back in the startup seat here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julian. And in this energy crisis, you're not just saving us on the energy front, you're saving lives. So we really appreciate your contributions. We are missing Tim from Swan Systems, who'll be joining us soon. I'd like to introduce Tim Baxter from Swan Systems, someone who is actively transforming the global water ecosystems. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to...
Sorry to interrupt, Lisa. Tim won't be able to make it today, but I've come in his place. So.
Oh, super. Okay, I'm going to hand over to you then.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. And hi, everybody. Good to meet you. I'm based in Perth. I'm one of the co-founders of Swan Systems, which is an irrigation management platform that originated out of a consulting company we had, but this company is commercializing a system we've developed for making the best use of irrigation water, mainly for agriculture, but also public open space. We're operating in Australia and New Zealand a lot, but we've just started out in the USA. So that's our main focus at the moment, is getting established in that market. But yeah, thanks for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, wonderful to have you. And thanks for the shout out, Eva. I really appreciate it. I'm going to hand over now to Philippe, who's going to give a tribute to our founding fathers.
Thank you, Lisa. And as we open this chapter of the Australian chapter for Unicorn Pitches, I wanted to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands, the various lands on which we meet, be it virtually here in this Zoom meeting, but also acknowledging and paying my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging and extending that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. The land on which we are, that's Mark, myself, and Ash, is the Jagera and Turrbal land here in Brisbane, Australia. It has been a place of learning, teaching, creativity, and innovation for thousands of years, and it's on this foundation that we built our activities here today and leading our innovation activities and investment here in Brisbane and in Australia. So it's a real pleasure to be dialing in from these lands.
Wonderful, and perhaps this is a great opportunity to introduce Mandalay, Philippe.
That's great. And I'll start, and then I'll pass it over to Mark. So Mark and myself are partners in Innovation Architects. We're a consulting agency here focused on working with governments, universities, and private organizations on building startup and institutional partnerships and investment opportunities. We also run Mandalay Venture Partners, which is an early stage venture capital firm investing in agri-food technologies. And Mark?
Sure, just adding to that, Mandalay focuses primarily on seed to Series A stage agri-food tech opportunities with check sizes of between about 150,000 up to 1.2 million. So squarely in that seed stage for what Australia would consider seed. First launch is formally next week, so we'll be looking to start deploying capital in the next 6 to 8 weeks. We have been managing a sidecar fund, which Ash Baxter from Monty had previously spoken about, where we've made a number of investments in the agri-food tech space as well. So we're really excited about being able to support a lot more opportunities sit within this vertical in Australia, and certainly taking them into the Asian region.
Fantastic. Thanks, Philippe and Mark. So happy to have you with us. And I'll hand over to you, Gajo.
Hi, Lisa, and all to you guys. It's really a pleasure meeting you, and I'm really happy to have the opportunity to learn more about your startups and what you have been doing in the past couple of years. For the ones who have been present so long, as far as myself, for the ones who haven't met me in the past, my name is Guy Ivanka. I come from Belgrade. I'm a full-time finance executive and part-time business consultant. In the past 20 years, I worked generally for various companies on financial management and administration works, also as an operations management within startups, SME and SMB organizations. And of course, I generally worked and led the companies who are developing and managing technology, and of course, manufacturing companies. What I do is generally the expertise in financial and operational performance analysis, optimization and management of international tax credits. And I'm a corporate guy turned to startups. And in the past 4 years, I've been working on various startups. The last one is from 2019. We're trying to develop a trading platform who's going to work on a blockchain and, of course, traditional stocks, trading technology through application of artificial intelligence overlay. We are also in the raising stages, so I understand perfectly your situation, and really am keen to learn more about Australian startup ecosystem and how we can cooperate together. So Lisa, thanks for the opportunity, and looking forward to interact with you guys through this event.
Thanks, Gayo. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to hand over now to our dear friend, John Kojiro Mariwake in Japan.
Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me. Lisa is doing the amazing job for around the world for supporting startups. And I'm very happy to be here. Hope all your families, friends staying safe, healthy, and happy and crazy. I love Australia. I miss Australia. You know, I couldn't speak English at all 20 years ago. So I was sent to Australia like a convict from Japan. I was a very bad boy. And I couldn't enter any universities. And starting from Brisbane to study English. And after 1 year, and party so hard in Brisbane, I escaped from Brisbane to Sydney. And then I entered Sydney University, and I went to 3 bachelors, but I'm dropped out 3 months before graduate. I was running the hip hop and R&B party in Sydney. Then I moved back to Japan, throwing the many big parties. Now I'm running many big startup events, including unicorn pitches and startup grind Fukuoka and Nagoya, and running the acceleration program. And so Lisa is my partner for acceleration programs. And I'm also supporting a few VCs and also many startups. And I'm also visiting professor in the university in Myanmar and Japan, and columnist of Forbes Japan. I have written about the startup ecosystem Queensland for Forbes Japan article. Now I really love to interview all of you for showing you to Japan about whole Australian ecosystem. So 3 minutes pitch is very tough. And however, this is a great opportunity for you. And I really love to all of you to become the next unicorns. So best luck. Love from Japan. Thank you.
Thanks. And you know who to party with next time you book a flight to Japan. John is truly our crazy John, and we're so happy to have you with us today. One of the great things that John brings is this enormous interconnectivity to the world through Japan. And of course, connected across the fabric of the Japanese ecosystem, with our beautiful relationship that we've had with Japan for so long now, there's a great propensity to access the Japanese financial ecosystem. A lot of Japanese VCs and large corporations are actively supporting the Asia-Pacific ecosystem with funding. And we co-invest alongside our partners with Striders Japan, and with 500 and with Global Brain and Intervalley. So we're really pleased to also offer you support to connect into our friends at Austrade in Japan and into our VC active community. I'm now going to hand over to you, Peter, from R3I. Over to you.
Hey guys, Peter from R3I. I think I know most of you. Who don't know me, I joined Lisa at R3I about 2 years ago. I specialize in intellectual property, contracts, etc. Been a few events organized by Sydney Trade, government, and so on. So I certainly interesting to see more of the founders from Australia and what they can bring and how we can help you. To John's point, and the kudos he gave to Lisa, John just organized a Unicorn Japan, which was an awesome event as well. And I'm meeting Yuka out of Upcycle on Monday, John. So I'll let you know. And yeah, this is a great event, and I'm glad to see you all here.
Awesome. And I'm going to hand over to you, Tom.
I thought I already introduced myself. No? Tom Kosnick, Silicon Valley, some of the best weather in the world. So those of you who want to enter the US market, you probably ought to come through here, even though Silicon Valley is not all it's cracked up to be. So as a partner at Founders X Ventures, we do seed to Series A, and we're also raising a fund that will do clean tech, and the LPs there will be one of the founders of Google and his wife, who was one of our founders. The areas in which we invest are enterprise SaaS, but it's got to have deep tech in it somewhere. FinTech and InsurTech, biotech and biopharma, digital health, food tech and low carbon. So very excited to see that there are a number of companies in this area, and also space tech. So, and we actually have had trouble finding interesting companies in the food tech and agri-tech space. We have invested in a couple, but we're so if any of the startups want to enter the US market, please give me a shout.
Well, with the water situation in California, your irrigation.
Yes, when I heard about water, I'm going, help, we're a desert, stealing water from other places. And yeah.
We have a long history of stealing water from other places. So Australia can certainly share our knowledge of how not to manage water. But hopefully, Ivor, we are changing that paradigm. I'm going to hand over now to my friends in Vietnam. And Duck, do you want to take it away from your side? Duc Pham, do you want to take it away from Vietnam? Don't know that he can hear me. Tao, are you going to showcase from Vietnam? Just to introduce your firm would be fantastic.
Yeah, hi everyone. Sorry, I could not show the camera by now. Yeah, it's probably broken. But yeah, just want to say hi to you guys. Yeah, we are from Earth Venture Capital, and yeah, I Tiến, the founder of Earth Venture Capital, is a close friend of Lisa. Yeah, and we are so glad to be here today to join this exciting event. And about our mandates, so we focus on digital solutions to tackle climate change. Yeah, in terms of verticals, we can do a lot of different sectors and verticals, including industrial decarbonization, energy efficiency, smart building, agriculture, yeah, things like that. Yeah, so excited to learn more about startups that will show up today. Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Super, thank you, Tao. And how about you? Do you want to introduce Wizin? Or Tao, does one of your team want to introduce Wizin?
Okay, Wizin. Zui, are you there? Do you want to introduce Wizin? Hello, Zui.
Pardon, I was like a little bit. Can you inform again?
Yes,
Yeah,
over to you. You can introduce your firm. We'd love to hear more about your company and what you're investing in Vietnam.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so pardon again, my Wi-Fi was like a bit. Yeah, so it was interrupted in here. So yeah, thanks, Mr. Tao, for informing me. So yeah, I'm Yui, and currently I'm represent for Wizin. So what we are doing, we are an AI platform that supports the startup and investor to matchmaking together, and as well support the startup to raising fund with giving insights of VC. Yeah, so really glad to join here today with everyone.
Awesome, great. And I had the great privilege to meet the team at Wizin. They're really driving the startup and VC and angel ecosystems in Vietnam. So wonderful to have you with us today. And as you can see, founders, we really have brought a small slice of the world to you, but we are not done. I'm going to hand over to you, Anis, to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anis Sheikh. I'm originally from Pakistan. Right now, I'm in Washington, D.C. I am the founder of an AI startup called Basis Technologies. We would like to believe that we are one of the first in the world to have made a software which can generate content by itself. And this software and this startup has taken me to places, including, but not limited to, US, of course, and where I am right now. We have raised one round, and I have good hopes that we'll be doing similar rounds in the future as well. Our software is now being tested by many industries, including media and financial houses. And I participate whenever I'm invited, like you have done, Lisa, and learn more about the ecosystems, startups, and various places. I am glad to have the opportunity to learn more about Australia. Thank you very much, and hi everyone again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anis. And for those cyber guys wanting to land into DC, now you've got someone that can connect you into the local ecosystem. So without further ado, I just wanted to introduce R3I Capital. R3I Capital is a global VC firm based out of Singapore, Luxembourg, and Silicon Valley, and soon to be in Texas. We have a team based in 12 countries around the world, and we are also the licensed partner of She Loves Tech in Western Europe, the Nordics, Japan, and Korea, and are actively working to transform the planet for a net zero economy. We and our team are looking to invest $1 billion across the ecosystem over the next 10 years through 5 funds, the first of which is a $20 million Accelerator Fund, which lands our startups into a house of MedTech and house of DeepTech in order to commercialize, capitalize, and pursue non-dilutive pathways. I have the great privilege to move to Luxembourg in July last year, where I'm here to tap our founders into 95 billion euros of non-dilutive capital. And Luxembourg is one of the few ecosystems in Europe that is left, that is English speaking, and that has 190 nationalities living downtown. Every day, 45% of the world's talent walks across the border into Luxembourg to go to work. And I bet you never even heard of Luxembourg, many of you, except in the context of where people bank their money. And yes, it is full of bankers, and there's a thriving private banking ecosystem here. In fact, it is the second largest financial ecosystem in all of Europe. But what people don't know is that the Luxembourg Ministry of Economy participate all over the world in some of the leading stakeholder groups for the development of the European economy. And they make available a program called Lux Fit for Start to help founders land into the ecosystem. But they also have segmented the ecosystem into different clusters. And they have startup directors who drive the development of those clusters. So we're playing an active role in connecting Australia into Luxembourg to scale into Europe now that Brexit has happened and London is no longer the place to land. Luxembourg is now the place to land for Australian founders, where you can very rapidly prototype and test in the Luxembourg ecosystem and then rapidly scale out across the 27 markets. We're really enthusiastic, as opposed to landing you directly into the US, to actually pick you up out of Australia, land you into Luxembourg, pump you full of non-dilutive capital and R&D roadmap, and then scale you into the US for a higher valuation and a higher exit. And leveraging this geographic arbitrage can benefit up to 70% higher valuations by the time you get to the US. So this is a very natural arbitrage, and one that we believe provides founders with a much longer runway and, of course, much longer controls in your own company. We are founders built for founders. And the first fund that we have is a founders fund. And so we provide a drip of our carry back to our founders so that you benefit when we benefit, and vice versa. So great to meet you here today. Our checks for our Accelerator Fund are $250,000. In our second fund that we'll be raising next year, we're raising a $75 million fund, which will provide $2 million checks to double down on our founders. So that's our background. We are R3I Capital, and I have the great privilege to work with Tom, Peter, and our fellow co-investors in this ecosystem, and are very excited to hear your pitches today. So without further ado, I am going to set the scene for today. As you can see, you've got a strong judging panel on board from across both VC and super angels. This video will be later streamed live to a global audience of VCs, to our women VC communities, as well as to our local private banking and family office networks. And so unfortunately, due to licensing laws, you can't tell us exactly how much you're raising, but you can tell us that you are raising. You can tell us what stage you are, and you can tell us what you're going to spend the money on. So I hope that's helpful, just to keep you compliant. The pitches today are 5 minutes long. I know we said that they would be 3, but we want to give you ample opportunity to sell your story to the world. So 5 minutes for your pitch, and then 5 minutes Q&A. And the running order today begins with Mike at Truth. So over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Lisa. Lovely to be with all of you here today. As I mentioned in the very brief introduction, the mission of Truth is to deliver the world's most accurate, secure, and user-friendly digital identity services. And really, I think the way to summarize that is that what we do at our heart is we identify the human behind the device. And so this is critical in a wide range of different scenarios, but primarily what's underpinning all of this capability are some recent changes in the technology landscape over the last couple of years. So we leverage the advances in private public key cryptography. We are big users of AI and ML when it comes to biometrics, both for face and voice. And of course, we deploy our solutions to a global audience using a SaaS platform so that we can get maximum reach to not only the big end of town, but also to the small and medium enterprises who are woefully underserved when it comes to cybersecurity solutions. In terms of our product portfolio, we cover the entire life cycle of the user in terms of making sure that you can verify the human behind the device. And that starts with the onboarding experience with Truth KYC. What we offer there is the ability to deliver 5 nines in terms of assurance in the user's identity. We also offer a range of verification checks on the back of that to prove the credentials of the user. We do tests of user liveness based on AI ML models. We create a face key and a voice key for the user. And on the back of that, we create a digital identity that the user can employ, and in particular, employ when they're authenticating themselves for all of their online interactions. And that's where BioPass comes to the fore. So BioPass is our passwordless authentication solution, which has the unique benefits of allowing the user to employ any combination of biometrics that they want in a device agnostic environment. So in terms of the use cases, there are a range of different use cases that, that we believe are really important here. Now, clearly in the online world, you don't need to use biometric authentication for every single use case, but when it's high risk, it's really important. Right? It's really important that we identify the person behind the device if you're transferring a large amount of money, or if you're onboarding a new user to your platform or to your employment. Or, for example, you're giving access to the data center. So all of these are absolutely critical, because if you authenticate the wrong person, you're actually creating a catastrophic scenario for yourselves. In terms of our market segment that we're going after, is primarily the MFA market, and it's growing at double-digit rates. It's going to be worth about $20 billion over the next year or two. And then there are adjacencies around that, particularly KYC. We've already got a KYC solution in market being used by a range of enterprise clients. And those two work really nicely together, because not only do you need to verify identity through KYC at day one, you need to use those same biometrics in order to authenticate the user at every interaction thereafter. In terms of our MFA solution, BioPass, it has quite distinctive benefits over and above existing solutions that are in the market. And in terms of the proposition to the enterprise users, the primary benefit is the improvement in the user experience, whether that be the end customer or whether it be an employee or a contractor. By enabling those users to go passwordless, obviously it's a much better user experience, but then it's also a much more secure experience for the business. So we can mitigate a wide range of different cyber threats, including man-in-the-middle attacks, presentation attacks, and even ransomware when you think about using biometrics in order to lock down the admin password. Our distribution play is to leverage a range of platform partners around the globe. We have a very tight relationship with AWS, and BioPass, our multi-biometric authentication solution, is designed to work natively on top of Cognito as our first release. In addition to that, all of our services can be delivered via API and SDK and integrated into existing enterprise solutions. And then in terms of our revenue drivers going forward, we earn a very healthy margin because all of this technology has been built in-house. So in general, we're generating a 70 to 80% margin on all of our services, and they get delivered through our enterprise clients to their end customers and users. So in summary, we are looking to raise the money. I won't say how much, but we are absolutely looking to raise money, and it will be applied against 3 areas: to continue to build out our features and our API connectors to a range of different global solutions, in particular, the ones you see here in the middle segment around Okta, Ping, ForgeRock, Xero, and Salesforce. We've already built the integrations into AWS, and we're launching on the AWS Marketplace in the next month. And then the other opportunity for us to deploy those funds is around building out our sales operation presence for Europe and for North America. We've just launched our European platform, and the North American platform goes live in July. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for listening to the pitch. If you'd like to know more about the team, very happy to share more details in the Q&A.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mike. And I'd now like to open it up to our judges. Anyone got any burning questions for Mike?
It's Mark from Mandalay here. Really good presentation. I actually think one of our partners went through Truth's KYC last week using your technology. So it's really interesting to see. Can you talk through what the current clients look like in Australia and what you think the potential clients are going to look like when you move overseas?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So the existing client base in Australia is actually quite diverse. So we have organizations who are firmly in the financial services sector. So Australian Finance Group, for example, they're the largest broker network, finance broker network in Australia. They have around about 5,000 finance brokers, and they account for 15% of all mortgages written in Australia. Then we have organizations who go direct to consumer, like New Mobile. So they sell mobile phones and lease mobile phones, and they use our services to verify the identity of their new customers as they onboard them. We've also got InsurTech customers. So IAG are an investor in us, but we're also deploying solutions with IAG. And then as we look globally, it's much more about how we leverage those global platform providers. So the likes of AWS and Okta and Ping and ForgeRock, and deliver our services through their platform. So mostly what BioPass delivers is a consistent and unified multi-biometric authentication experience that can sit on top of those existing identity and access management platforms. So they are keen to partner with us. They already partner with other competitors of ours, and they have every incentive in order to widen out the group of service providers that they work with.
Great, thank you, Mark. I have a question, Mike. Last time we met, you were rapidly integrating into these fantastic ecosystems for distribution. Can you just share that journey, how that's going for you, and where you see the potholes and the opportunities?
Yeah, so it's going well. I think that it's safe to say that it always takes a little bit longer than one expects when you're doing, integration into global platforms. And I think the lesson for us is to really make sure that you're building it once and you're building it properly. So for example, with our API integrations and our SDKs, we've got to get it to a point where it's absolutely seamless to be able to onboard and use those APIs and the SDKs. The other lesson for us is to deliver a beautiful onboarding experience for those small and medium enterprises that want to white label our SaaS solution. And so we've spent a lot of time and energy designing that onboarding experience so that for the clients who are happy to do a self-onboarding where they don't necessarily want us to hold their hand, they can do that in sub 10 minutes. So I think some of the pitfalls are, making sure that you spend a lot of time up front in designing that perfect onboarding experience, and then being okay with spending a little bit more time and energy and effort perfecting that rather than rushing to market with the solution that might be just okay.
Fantastic. And over to you, Gaio.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, Mike. That was really impressive presentation you delivered. May I ask you a bit about your competitive landscape? Can you tell us who are your direct competitors and more about your differentiators? A bit more about your competitive advantage. Thank you, Mike.
Sure. So our competitors fall into two camps. So we've got competitors who are traditional KYC operators like Onfido and Jumio. And so I'll come back to talk about our advantage against them. In terms of the second group, it's really the multi-factor authentication providers. So this is where you've got the likes of Hyper, Secret Double Octopus, Duo. These are the sorts of organizations I was mentioning before who offer their services on top of Okta and Ping and ForgeRock and Auth0. And so our advantage is that we offer the integration of those two traditionally distinct services. And that's a big problem when it comes to security within an enterprise. If you've got one service provider who's doing your KYC onboarding and another service provider who's doing your authentication, often using insecure passwords, and there's no binding or connectivity between those two, that creates a source of insecurity. And so our key point of differentiation is that we use the same biometrics that we use on boarding for KYC with the multi-biometric authentication of the user as we go forward.
Thank you very much, Mike, for your answers.
Fantastic presentation. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate your contributions to our Unicorn pitch today, and good luck with your funding. Andy Buderman. Thanks, Mike. Andy Buderman, over to you in sunny Melbourne. Tell us all about Detection.
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, everyone. My name is Andy, and I'm the co-founder and chief product officer of Detection. We are on a mission to secure the future of work, because in the future, we believe cybersecurity is the most critical currency that company in the mid-market will acquire. First, I'd like to introduce you to our founding team. Han, our CEO, Stanford MSX 2017, mid-market private equity background, founder of 2 startups. Our CTO, Adrian, is a seasoned enterprise security consultant and cloud security expert, and myself, an entrepreneur with passion in design and technology with 2 successful exits. SaaS risk and governance is a $20 billion problem. In a modern workplace, business teams procure and manage their own SaaS solutions. 77% of apps running in the mid-market businesses are non-IT managed and have access to customer and business data. This gives rise to security blind spots and cost wastages. And this is a big problem for the mid-market that we are focusing on. Our buyer persona, head of IT, wears multiple hats, overwhelmed, and often can't keep up. To solve these pain points, we simply tell them what they don't know with Detection Shadow IT Discovery, which is self-serve and free to use. It discovers unauthorized SaaS apps that staff sign up with their corporate email address. And we discover whether these apps have access to corporate data and provide them with the simple recommended actions. And second, detection platforms give continuous insights of your system, human, endpoint risk, and when things change, which is all the time. With Detection, customers have data insights to be able to communicate risk effectively and justify security spend. Our vision is to be the Moody's of cybersecurity, we're a data platform for mid-market cybersecurity worthiness. We believe cybersecurity is the currency of the future. Like Moody's, reducing the cost of capital, we help the mid-market reduce the likelihood of impact of data breaches, increase customer confidence, and reduce compliance costs. We have two-pronged approach in go-to-market, both leading with Detection Shadow IT Discovery Freemium, first through the customers, and second with their trusted IT security advisors. We have learned the last 2 years that the head of IT in the mid-market, like I said, is often overwhelmed, understaffed, and they often rely on their trusted advisors for help. Mid-market trusted advisors can enable value-added services and independent verification of their own work with Detection shared data. Partners who work with Detections have substantially added revenues to their services on the back of Detection data. For example, in this case study, Figure 8, an IT consultancy in New Zealand, with Detection data, they were able to add $250,000 worth of consulting and managed service revenue in just 6 months, with only 2 mid-market customers. Our pricing plan is very simple. We pick the customer interest and motivation with our Shadow IT Discovery, which is completely free. Then we upsell our security posture management for $3 per user per month and usage optimization add-on for extra $1 per user per month, which provide cost-saving opportunities and justify the cost of using our product. In the future, we also have workflow automation for active remediation, which will become part of the company's business process. So here's what our customer says about us. Willow is a platform for digital engineering services and marketplace here in Australia. They found Detection solution to be far simpler and efficient in managing SaaS sprawl and cost savings as well for them. And Lab Group is a compliance monitoring analytics company that works with large financial institutions. We provide them customer confidence for them to get on top of the SaaS security blind spots. And a lot of this company works with a larger institution as well. And our product enabled them to give that level of confidence of their SaaS security. So we just completed a phase one of market validation with paying customers and partners. Phase 2 which we are raising capital for, is to create mass adoption of the freemium offering that allows customers to self-serve and do shadow IT discovery in 2 minutes, which they can upgrade to our core platforms. Now we're raising capital, I can't say how much, but through safe notes from angels. Half of the round had been committed. Like I mentioned earlier, my co-founder Tan and myself was in Silicon Valley the last 3 months. And we're happy to share also that joining the round included industry veterans such as Rafi Ital, who is the co-founder of Netscope, within part of the angels, and also advisors like Varun Badwa, who's the founder of Redlock as well, to be part of our advisory board. The key objective is to simply accelerate the revenue growth to 1 million ARR, focusing on the product go-to-market, and one in particular is Microsoft Azure Marketplace, and dominate the mid-market with a simple but yet very effective solution to get on top of the SaaS role. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. And Andy, since I met you guys at IAG Firemark, I've had the great privilege to watch you guys pivot and transform across the planet. Really great to have you with us here today. You have pivoted a number of times now in order to find your product market fit. What do you think is the greatest opportunity for Detexion moving forward?
When we started, actually the terms SaaS security posture management hasn't been coined yet, so we don't even know what to call it. And it was Gartner that actually coined that term about 1.5 years ago. So it was kind of in early stage, we're kind of stabbing in dark. We know the pain points is there, but there is no, I guess, a solution out there that can actually tackle it. And in particular in the mid-market, right? And one thing that we noticed once Gartner actually coined the term, there's a lot of enterprise level solutions out there. You know, company the likes of App Omni, even Better Cloud kind of pivoted to the SSPM, they call it. But we kind of stick to our guns and focus on the mid-market, which is kind of known in the cybersecurity to be the hardest market to tap into. But one thing that we always believe in, and the thing that we learned the last 2 years, is we want to tap into the motivations, right? At the beginning, when we created the SSPM, we become a bad news company, and no one likes to be told bad news all the time, right? And one thing that we understand about the head of IT is they want to look good in front of their bosses, in front of their company. That's why the shadow IT discovery is a pivotal moment for us as well, to give them away for free, to give them enough ammunition and data insight to be able to communicate at the company and to do something about it. And to be honest, it's about creating that simplicity and communications. It will be just enough for them to care about it, but not to freak them out, also not to worry about it.
I have to say I'm a user of Detexion in R3I and one of their biggest fans, because we, of course, manage our own cybersecurity, and we needed a silver bullet plugin for compliance. So really grateful for that, but also grateful for the cost reductions, constantly telling me how many users I don't need. Thanks. I think you're just changing the lives of every VC on the planet. Any questions for our floor? Nope. All right, we're over to the next one. Thank you, Andy. Really appreciate your presentation today.
I have a question. Sorry, I was muted. Andy, really good presentation. As far as I'm concerned, wouldn't ask much aside about your traction. Can you elaborate more about your traction and, of course, your forecasts of revenue model as well?
Yep. So far, our revenue is $100,000 USD. And we just about to sign another $100,000 worth of contract. Now there's a big jump in that case, because at the beginning, it's all about having a design partners and trying to find the product market fit. And to be honest with you, trying to find how to charge effectively, given the value that we provide as well. And this great validation that we will sign quite soon is actually our product is actually worth a lot more within these organizations. So the contract value is pretty much jumped from almost like a $10K to $100,000 literally in this one client. And part of that is this introduction of the shadow IT discovery, which we just launched actually 3 weeks ago. We have learned in the 3 months in the Silicon Valley in terms of tapping into how to get on top of mind by just giving this freemium service first and get into it, then start charging per user per license and bring the cost optimization along the way. at the beginning, we made the mistakes of kind of just becoming the bad news company, just putting everything up front. So now we kind of tease them along the way. And we're just about to, like I mentioned, sign probably our biggest contract so far.
Thank you very much for a thorough answer. Good luck with your endeavor, and I'm looking forward to interact after the event.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gaio. Well, we have seen so far Mike from Truth. We've seen Andy Buderman from Detexion. I'm now going to take you into the world of agriculture with Daniel from Ribbons Technologies. Daniel, take it away.
Thank you, Lisa, and hi, everyone. My name is Daniel from Melbourne. This is, the co-founder and CEO of Ribbons Technologies. So the problem we are trying to solve is in the world of fruit testing. For those of you who don't know, fruit before it gets to the shelf of a supermarket has to be grown and picked, and that part of the supply chain is critical. So the growers and fruit producers have to periodically test their fruit in the days and weeks leading up to harvest, so that they can make sure that the fruit is of the quality that it will guarantee an income to them, and will obviously guarantee quality that is maintained across the supply chain. Now, fruit testing is today a very manual process. It's time consuming. It wastes fruit because fruit has to be cut for the testing. And so what we are doing is taking this sort of scenario and transform it into a real software as a service solution, where we offer growers our scanners that will collect data from the fruit in real time, and it's a completely non-destructive, and will replace completely the manual testing that is done today. And so the benefit for the growers is that they will be able to test more fruit more quickly, so get a better idea of the status of their crops as they grow, and so that at that point, being able to grow this fruit and pick it according to target market and according to different destinations, and so improve overall their margins. Rubens is a combination of a scanner and machine learning analytics. The scanner is used to take a reading of the fruit, and this reading is then transformed into a quality indicator, for instance, the sugar content of a piece of fruit, something that it's of commercial importance for the growers who wants to sell this fruit along the supply chain. So the machine learning analytics takes the data and immediately transform it in real time for the growers to read. And obviously, this data is already digitized and can be used directly in the supply chain of those growers. So as I mentioned before, we are using a software as a service model, where we provide the growers with the scanners, and we sign them up into plans, and the plans depends on the size of their crops or the number of models that they will require for prediction. We are going to market pretty much, we are scaling according to our tech readiness, so that we started working with growers associations, and now we are moving on to larger producers and aiming at getting the distributions through the agricultural distributors and assurance companies. Our aim at the moment is market share, in the sense that we are focusing on the crop intelligence market, being able to scale across growers in Australia and internationally, so that we can build that large database of crop quality data that we can then monetize in much larger markets, such as food provenance, traceability of those crops, and being able to use this data for insurances in the same way that other types of data are used for the insurance of crops, like for instance product. I founded Rubens back in 2018. I was soon after joined by Lisa, a co-founder. And so between the two of us, we got a good combination of technical and business expertise. And we were joined earlier this year as a strategic advisor and business development by David Lester here, working with us in Melbourne. Rubens was essentially bootstrapped ever since. We grew out of grants and commercial pilots. Last year, we completed the Evoke Ag Accelerator in Australia and the SBG Thrive Accelerator over by SBG Ventures side in Silicon Valley. And we have in the last 2 years extensively developed the product and tested in the market with growers. So we have now a few growers using this product, and we are now at the moment looking at raising funds to be able to scale and launch the product to a larger user base. We own our IP, and we are looking to raise a seed round to essentially complete our product development and scale across Australia and internationally within 1 year. And we are looking then eventually to do a second capital raise to scale the company international in the view of an exit in 3 to 5 years. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening. It was great to be here.
Thank you very much. And in full declaration, I will not be voting for Rubens Technologies because of my conflict of interest here. I had the great privilege to meet Daniel in our accelerator in Geelong, Australia. And as you know, it's very difficult to get funding as a single founder. And so I joined Daniel to support him to scale his company internationally. So I'm going to hand it over to our illustrious judges for your questions. Great, Gaio, over to you.
Thank you, Lisa. You know, I waited a bit for other judges to interact, but when I saw that nobody was trying to involve, said, okay, what the hell, I'm going with it. So Daniel, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate what you have done. Really great pitch. Agriculture is my basics. I did my bachelor's in agriculture and resource economics in the past. You know, I haven't stayed in the sector as long as I expected, but through the years I've been engaged as a financial consultant on a couple of endeavors that concern agricultural production. As far as my question to you, I would focus more about your acceleration, graduations, and incubation programs. I see on your summary on the Startup Network's website that you have completed 3 such programs, Runaway HQ, Thrive by SVG Ventures, and Evoke AG. My question would be, in your development process, what value what value was brought by any of acceleration programs in terms of mentorship, support in the product development stage, and of course raising money, which is, I think, the most important one in the commencement stage. So tell me a bit about that, and after that would like to hear more about your competitive landscape as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think our the different accelerator brought different things. So we started with the runway, which is probably between an incubator and an accelerator. That was an extremely early stage. Essentially, the company didn't exist, right? There was an idea, and that accelerator, really the benefit of that early accelerator was to focus this idea, quickly iterate through different types of market and different types of models, and essentially after that accelerator, the company was born in more or less with this value proposition as we have now. After that, the value of the later accelerator, Evoke Egg, is an Australian-based accelerator done essentially by AgriFutures Australia, and that was good to actually connect the company with the ecosystem, with the AgTech ecosystem in the country, and so explore the different realities of different types of markets, and obviously connected to investors in the country, and at the same time, the SVG Ventures was more US/Canada focused, and that obviously gave us that perspective of a much larger market and a much larger ecosystem, and so this, I think, was as the puzzle was put together.
I agree with you about that.
Yeah, and then to your questions about the competitive
landscape.
Yeah. So essentially we're facing different types of competition. One is essentially whatever it is available now. that is essentially, in most cases, the farmers going out and picking the fruit and tasting it, and they say, yeah, that's ready to go, up to all the level up on sort of very high-end spectroscopy devices that will do that. So we are essentially pitching that soft spot in the middle, in which we have a device that is essentially very accurate, but at the same time is simple enough that can be used by anybody without any special training. So that's where we sit in that competitive landscape. And we want to really, so our focus is in actually in the database. It's collecting this large amount of data that then will be able, as all the deep learning people will know, the moment in which you scale the database, your accuracy will go up, and at that point the models will scale really across geographies and across regions, and that's where we want to be.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for your insight and, of course, answering my questions. And I'm looking forward to interact after the event. Feel free to connect through LinkedIn, and then we'll see about the next step in our communication. All the best.
Thanks, Gaio.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. And we are proud to land Rubens into Luxembourg in order to scale into the European markets. There's certainly a thriving agritech ecosystem surrounding the Benelux, which is great for us to tap into. I'm going to hand it over now to Peter. Peter, you've got one last question before we go to Anastasia.
Daniel, can you talk more about how you want to commercialize the data? Is that you're going to be sharing the information with the trade exchanges? What's the plan?
Yeah, so different types. So essentially, the first step is in which these databases are not shared as such, but the models are shared. So the model of predictions, so that a large number of growers can benefit from all of them. So all the pool of data is going to benefit all those growers. Now, once we have the scale, then at that point we'll have data that is available as a function of say geographies and over seasons. And so at that point, that data can be used together with, say, weather data and other type of actuarial data also for insurers. So that's the way where we look at using this data pool once it's available. And the other way is that as a feed to all the traceability programs that more and more are getting online. And so the various sort of farm to fork sort of ideas, they will use the data that can be generated at the farm level, but also at every stage of the supply chain. And this data is not only a data that is, say, acquired through, say, a barcode. It is actual physical response of the product. So that's exactly the fingerprint of the product that tells you the quality.
But technically, if you sign up growers in the region, they can report the level of sugar, I mean, depending on the produce, right? Which would increase potentially their yield or you know, the price of the goods, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the moment in which the quality, it's the price is based on quality, that's exactly what you want to know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Daniel. With the greatest respect to time, I'm going to pass now over to Anastasia. Thank you, Daniel, from Melbourne, from Rubens Technologies. Over to you, Anastasia.
Thank you so much. Just going to share my screen. Thank you. My name is Anastasia Reino, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Edit on the Spot. We come from a video production and video live streaming background, and our mission is to automate video editing for content creators. We believe this is the new future. And our main clients that we work with and that we talk to and we did research with is podcasters, influencers, vloggers, and small businesses that are using webinars, videos, and podcasts for marketing and promotion. They all want to repurpose videos very fast. They want to spend time on editing or don't edit at all. And they want to save money. With Edit on the Spot solution, videos are edited in real time. It's AI automated. and ready for posting almost instantly. No uploads or transfers of files are needed. It's done for you. There's no struggles with heavy data, and the cost of video is much cheaper. As you can see, our client John, who has small business and using talking head videos, he would record video for 1 hour and then edit it for 5 to 10 hours, or would have to have a team member or use services of video editors, which is quite expensive and consuming. Our big vision is that you can connect your camera, your desktop, your webcam, video conferencing platform, any streaming platforms to edit on spot, editing platform. And we are using AI, speech-to-text, natural language processing, etc., to achieve results like this. This is the actual client, and before and after example of a podcast is using Zoom to record videos, and they receive fully ready content for posting through Edit on the Spot. We had 70 users going through our beta. We have validated with over 100 content creators, podcasters mostly, to validate our service. We had received positive reviews and got paid clients. The market size, we have estimated that 25 million serviceable obtainable market of 25 million users. Those are users every day on streaming platforms, on Zoom, Twitch, Facebook, etc., recording videos out of 650 million daily users. We have identified the gap in the market where a lot of tools, cloud editing tools, are now focusing on do-it-yourself, which still require a learning curve, or live editing available only for TV and sports broadcasting, and its enterprise packages, very, very expensive equipment and large teams. So our competitive advantage is bringing the technology available in TV broadcasting into the market, and our first step is integrated with video conferencing platforms such as Zoom, for example, and we're developing our own AI protocols. This is our team. I myself have over 17 years of experience with business development. Martin has over 15 years in video production, live streaming, and our CTO, Dmitry, has over 19 years of experience in senior web development and architect. Our go-to-market is through integrations and extensions with, as I mentioned, virtual conferencing platforms, as well as virtual and hybrid events, as well as B2C through influencer marketing, referral, and affiliate marketing. And we have a freemium model and a paid model. We have more opportunities to monetize the platform through offering NFT minting to our clients and integrating e-commerce functionalities, also building community around the platform and integrations. The financial model is through credit-based subscription model, where with each package, a user unlocks more and more features. And the largest package is the enterprise package. And we also give credits. Those credits expire on the freemium model. Our financials show that we become financially break even in 18 months and reach revenue of 89 million in 2026. We have completed our first stage with integration. We are launching in 2 weeks our first integration on Zoom Marketplace, and with the notion to onboard 1,000 users. We have raised from friends and family, and our next integration is to place our app on Google Marketplace. we are raising at the moment, and the funds will go to marketing and sales and customer support to onboard and service those users, and then continue the next stage of the development. Thank you so much.
Fantastic, Anastasia. And I see an exit here to Canva even in the local ecosystem. Great potential for your product. I'm going to open it up to our great judges. John, over to you in Japan.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Anastasia, for your wonderful pitch. This will be amazing. I would like to know how your users, current users, think about your system and also the price.
Yes, in comparison to the price, we will be 3 times cheaper because it's automated process, editing process, and all of the users that we have tested and spoken about, presented our technology, they're very, very excited about our launch. The main thing is the speed of delivery, that it happens instantly. The second main feature is that they will have access to their library on our platform, and they can edit anytime in the future. And all those features that the content creators are looking for, like as enhancement of the video, cutting it into segments, into smaller chunks, and captioning, we're offering that as well in the package.
Thank you. Yeah. How many current users do you have? How many of them are active users?
We only took them through beta stage, and now finishing the development to launch to the mass market. So that was kind of a soft launch in a controlled environment, and those users are ready to be onboarded and become our regular clients. So that was 100 people. We do, from our existing business, we have about 200 people database, and we are planning to launch it through crowdfunding through Indiegogo as a new technology.
Thank you so much. Best luck, Anastasia.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. In the interest of time, I'm going to have to cut it off here, but fantastic technology, really exciting use case applications. And in fact, sorry, I do have one last question from Anis in DC. Over to you, Anis.
Thank you. Great presentation, Anastasia. I, being a television journalist in my past life, I can also be your next client. I just trying to understand as to how it works. So I do a lot of Google meetings, and we upload it on different channels. And I'm just trying to understand as to how it would work if I am doing a video on Google Meet, and it's an interface directly with my camera. Where would your software come in? How would it work?
Yeah, so instead of streaming through API, we connect, like, for example, with Zoom, instead of streaming to Facebook or YouTube, you would stream directly to our platform. And with Google, we'll be using NDI protocol because the Google team allows that. And with, with Zoom, just SDK. So you'll be streaming to our platform, where the videos are going to be kept and edited, and you can edit them later, or use our edited version, or additionally edit later, etc. So we already we're in Google Founder Lab as well, so we're already kind of talking to the developers.
Okay, all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to have to cut it here just in the interest of time, but I'm going to now hand it over to our illustrious presenter, Julian. Now, if anyone doesn't know, Julian is one of the best singer presenters that I've ever met, and runs the hottest bar in Bali. So next time you have Bali on your roadmap, you know the man to visit. Julian, I know you are an aficionado of the net zero economy and are actively making a contribution. Tell us how.
Thank you so much, Elisa. Yeah, my name is Julian Ulich. Let me just share this here with you guys. And again, it's kind of new for me to be back on this side presenting about what we're doing. But yeah, John, you have to come by. I mean, if you like, I'm also like the king of Akasaka and Roppongi in my free time. You know, I love technology. I love to sing and I love to party. But I want to take you back a few years back. My focus has always been on developing deep technology developments for the German government. Started my career in an investment bank, 2000. It's not around since 2008 anymore in New York City. And then I kind of had a crazy idea back then. I wanted to do something meaningful with my life and get out of finance. You know, it was, I don't know, it was a very good idea in hindsight, but that's kind of what happened. So I signed up with the German government to go to Ethiopia. So I traded in my trading desk in New York City and went to Ethiopia to finance smart grids in 2006 at that point. And what I found in Africa was a problem that we still have today. That was, we had pure access to energy, very high cost of energy, very high carbon emission from diesel. We had a lot of waste around, but these resources were simply not used or utilized in any kind of way. So 15 years ago, I kind of made it my life mission to convert solid waste streams into clean energy as efficiently and smooth as possible. And as a byproduct, produce bricks that actually capture the rest carbon so we can use that in buildings, on roads. So we have the full ecosystem of, you know, circular economy, using those waste streams for something useful instead of dumping it into the ocean and then having to fish it out of there. And that started about 15 years ago. I was very lucky to receive a lot of funds back then from Kleiner Perkins and Wellington to push this technology forward. So we started in 2006 to convert waste into hydrogen. And as crazy as that sounds, we're still doing that today. And the big game changer is, I'm on pitch slide number 1. We are able to fit the household waste of any major country, and we can feed it into a fuel cell. And that is on a small scale an absolute game changer, because a fuel cell can be much, much smaller than a big incinerator or a steam turbine. So we've literally shrunk down the system of carbon to gas conversion to a scale that this now can be installed anywhere in the world. And I'm trying to figure this thing out here. So our core mission has been very, very simple. Waste is one of the biggest challenges of the 21st century. We have the ocean plastic, we got the landfills, we got the air pollution, we got all the lost resources that go into it. And now we add on top of it the dependency of gas and oil from Russia, which obviously in Europe right now is a huge deal. And so we envisioned 15 years ago, how would the perfect solution look like? And the perfect solution would be small, it would be transportable, easy to operate, cost effective, clean, would actually capture part of the carbon and remotely managed, because at the end of the day, I trust my German engineers more than I trust the local operator. So we can always keep an eye on, and still a complex system, so we need some supervision. Actually, a guy with the second best engineering team I ever had in my life was University of Kraljevo in Serbia. Just, well, back to that later. Interesting. So why am I here today? We have been doing this for a long time. The last 2 years, we have been in the laboratory. We have received over 100 German government funds at this point, in the tens of millions. This is how close we are to the German development agency development targets. Out of absolutely crazy, we were approached 6 months ago by the German Biomass Research Center and said there's the best project in the world for waste to methane or waste to hydrogen is in the region of Paris. And we need somebody that can convert, and now listen to this, sewage sludge, household waste, and horse manure. Then they put it into a biodigester, take out all the energy, and say, now we need somebody crazy enough that can turn this crap, I mean, let's really put it what it is. It's the waste of the waste, and convert that into more hydrogen so we can feed it into our gas grid and actually get rid of our gas import. This was 6 months ago, and so we gave this to our laboratory team. It was funded nicely. Again, German government paid it, and the French paid it, and incredibly, it actually worked. So what you see on the left side underneath the slide is a very simple one-stage reactor. On the right side is our CTO. We have spent the last months in the laboratory validating this technology for the German government, for the regional government of Paris, and now just signed a contract to actually be chosen globally for waste to hydrogen in Paris, which the first system should be running by the end of the year. And then we're supposed to build about 500 to 1,000 systems after that for every separate part of, the region of Paris. Not a bad place to be, could be a lot worse. But we are a company, we're an R&D company. We don't have the capacity or the means to really grow and build all these machines and, commission them and all these things. So yeah, with today, Lisa, I'm back out of retirement. It's good to see you, but we need some money. Like, we can't do this alone. So we need strategic partners. We need help. We have tested successfully with Tata in India. These were initially the ones that targeted this development, a very small unit to convert rice husk. We have our laboratory at the German Research Center in Zittau, and we just opened the first system in Bali here on site at Udayana University, where we're also converting household waste after all the recyclables are removed into hydrogen, and the rest gets turned into bricks storing carbon. So yeah, that's kind of what we do. Our business model is build and operate. We don't really like to sell units. With the right manufacturing structure, we can probably break even within 24 months. We generally sign between 10 and 20-year contracts. So we save companies massive amounts of money on their waste treatment. We save them money on the energy generation. And at the same time, we obviously provide benefits when it comes to the sustainability goals by reducing their carbon emissions and obviously having a great brand story for their customers. So it works great for hotels, municipalities. The opportunities are kind of endless. So back to your questions. Thank you, Lisa.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Julian. Really exciting, and the huge focus, especially in Australia today, on a transformation of our fossil fuel industries to renewables lands you a fantastic opportunity here. I'm going to hand it over to our illustrious judges. Any questions from the floor? Peter, over to you.
Yes, hi, Julian. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Peter.
Don't you need an energy to do that conversion?
We need energy to start the process. We run about 1600 degrees Fahrenheit in an atmosphere that actually doesn't have enough oxygen, so we don't produce dioxins, all this kind of things. That's the benefit when it comes to waste treatment. But we only need external energy for about the first 15 minutes. It's a very small of energy just to heat up the reactor. At about 300 degrees, we have a self-ignition inside the system. So at that point, we're extracting about 83% of the energy out of the fuel. So it's highly efficient. This is thermal efficiency. We are working with Fraunhofer Institute in Germany, which is like our MIT. And we just, actually, our gas quality is so high they can run it on a fuel cell. So we just generated 65% net efficient conversion ratio gas to power with the fuel cell, which is probably in the waste industry, I mean, a game changer. It's a factor of 10 compared to a small scale steam turbine.
Awesome. I just have a second question. So, like with the solar panels, there's a trend to put the solar panels on every building built out there. I can see this potentially be built in the building. It could be residential building or individual houses where you do your own incineration, but the challenge there is to build infrastructure. So what to do with the product, with the hydrogen and what have you going to be producing from that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have different tiers of usable gases we can produce, right? Hydrogen obviously is like the highest quality gas. In that case, we actually use steam and oxygen as a gasification fluid, which means it's like the input air. We can also do with air, then we mainly produce CO. And a little bit of CH4, a little bit of methane. So at that point, it can easily be used for any kind of heating application, which now suddenly at 16 cents per kilowatt hour thermal in Germany, for example, with new gas prices, has become incredibly interesting. Or we can use it in a generator to produce power, or we can use it in a fuel cell. So these are kind of the three use cases that we have been focusing on. And now hydrogen, like pipelines, right? You can feed up to about 10% hydrogen into the natural gas pipelines. That's really a new thing that we didn't think was going to be realistic in the foreseeable future. But obviously with where energy prices are going, it's a lot more pressure and a lot more capital behind this to see this happen sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as a real estate, if I have a high-rise building that can do all this and keep the recycling within the building without having any dependency on the outside world.
The smallest unit is the size of a fridge. Yeah. It's literally the size of a refrigerator. I've seen it. I've announced this 15 years ago at Fraunhofer that we're going to develop a unit that's small enough to pretty much be carried. We had 20 Indonesians carry it off the truck, install it. It's the size of a refrigerator, the smallest unit. So we have really shrunk down super clean German technology, waste to energy into this incredibly small package. And you're totally right. We can install this at every hotel, right? We can install that at a multi-family home. It's true waste to energy on site. And I think that's what gets people very excited. I ran the machine here in Bali myself last week, so it's really not that complicated. It's like 3 buttons.
All right,
and
guys.
the rest gets supervised from Germany.
Sorry to cut you off there, Julian.
For a long time.
Yeah.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Usually I have
Welcome
to listen.
back.
I can't talk so much.
Welcome back. Guys, really sorry to cut you off there. We are really short on time now, but fantastic technology, Julian. And I hope you've got the opportunity to raise from this audience here with you today and beyond. Thank you very much for joining us. All right, over to you now, Mike at Dronesec.
Perfect. Can you hear and see me, Lisa?
Perfect. Thank you, Mike.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for having me here today. Look, the mission of Dronesec is to protect people and drones from malicious drones and people. And you may be wondering why that is. Well, you know, the key points here that we're making is the fact that drones are extremely cheap, right? They're super innovative, they're sustainable, and they're used by almost everybody from commercial to, you know, hobbyists around the world, whether it's for entertainment or whether it's for commercial sector. And so if you think about that in the context of technology and innovation, right, they need cybersecurity. Security is required. They can be used as a threat or there are threats against them. And so we became part of this problem. We were consultants and we started trying to secure drones or secure them against people and assets. And we realized it was extremely expensive and very limited. We're talking $30,000 to $50,000 per drone for a single engagement. And then you have to times that by millions of drones all around the world. It's not sustainable. And so what we decided to do was actually build some software that could be scalable for the fact that we're going to have drones being in mobility, delivery, transport. And our first initial thought was, you know, who's going to actually use something like this? And governments and law enforcement are those key ones right now who are required to have security. So our product is in market. It's already being used by the likes of Scotland Yard, the European Commission, to secure nation states and countries against drone cybersecurity and threats. And this is only going to grow over the next few years, right? So the platform itself operates at less than 5% the cost of a drone, which is extremely important given that drones are meant to be cheap and effective. And it focuses on, you know, telling them what the threats are, then training them on how to stop them, and then actually focusing on doing what it says. We had to do that journey because it takes some time to get there. But the team, nevertheless, is very used to breaking into things and pretty used to fixing them as well. So myself, I was a red team operator focused on penetration testing. Jared was disrupting the aviation industry by building remote autonomous drones that would fly with fighter jets. And of course, Arison was focused on inside a unit that was trying to hack into drones and exploit them. So we know exactly what makes drones break. We know how to fix them, and we know how to warn you about those threats to them. It's a fast-growing market. Each year there are hundreds of thousands of drones that enter the market, and this is only increasing. This is just the US, right? So we're looking at 1.5 million commercial drones by 2026. That's commercial. These are companies, and usually these companies will have a fleet of about 30 drones right now. It increases by 10 year on year. And at about $350 per drone asset, we're talking about a $30,000 kind of market per company as we just grow on from that point onwards. So we're looking at about 100 mil traction in terms of revenue by 2025 if we were just targeting the US market alone. And that, of course, is with the caveat that only 22% right now have to have security, and that's going to increase as we've seen with the internet. So as I said, we started off with law enforcement, government, police, and military. That is now expanding to different customer segments who need that data, including insurance and smart cities who need assurance against some of these threats. In terms of the market approach, well, we are the thought leaders in this space. We hold the biggest conference. We created and run the training that does this. every single week we are educating the market about this item. And we've had to do that to try and explain what that threat is and then provide the solution. So we have the community at our grip, and that's what we've been using so far to generate our revenue. Annual recurring revenue was an interesting one. We started really without that because we were dealing with government contracts, but we've been able to change that through a number of experiments, right? So our ARR is increasing. We've made over 200K revenue, and most of that's been in the last few months as well, focusing on delivering that value. And so where are we actually disrupting this industry? Well, first of all, cybersecurity is always growing, no matter what IoT you put out. But we're focusing on that threat intelligence as well, being able to warn and alert people to those threats. You know, drones are hovering laptops. They can be hacked into, they can carry payloads. They're not just like a fridge that is connected to the internet that's sitting in your kitchen. And finally, that asset management aspect. There are requirements and regulations coming out to tell you how and what is expected to secure your drone fleet. And that's where we sit and are able to deliver value to our customers. What are the growth levers that are going to kick this off? Well, these are already happening. Companies and countries around the world want to know who is flying that drone. Is it malicious? And how can it potentially be secured? As I mentioned, with regulations, drone deliveries, which are now occurring, you can get your drones to deliver things even up in Canberra and Brisbane. And the fact that these drones are connected to their corporate networks is quite surprising. So just for the sake of time, I'll finish off by saying we've put together an advisory board of seasoned execs. They've worked within everything from defense primes to aviation authorities, and so they know both cybersecurity and drones. You've probably seen us in the press for our work in Ukraine. We are actively saving lives over there, and our technology is used by over 10 organizations trying to save lives in that manner. So we are raising, and we've been doing this based on R&D, but also making sure we can handle all the inbound leads we've had, especially from our work both in Ukraine and overseas during the COVID pandemic. So what does it look like on the exit for us? Well, we're looking at a few companies who are in this space who need to buy rather than build, and we are building solutions for their customers, and they're going to need to work on implementing that in very soon. So thank you. My name is Mike Monick, and the company is Dronesec. I'll take some questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike. Really exciting to see your development over the years and the incredible contribution that you're making to our national security. I'm going to hand it over to Peter for your questions around product.
Okay, I didn't raise a hand, but I will ask a question because I was thinking about it. Mike, awesome. And do you have any statistics on, and I'm only saying this because one of our venture partners is heavy drone addict. He has a few drones, and anytime he travels anywhere, and I'm talking about Howard, he brings his drone, and when he goes to Japan, he cannot fly it because Japan doesn't allow it. When he goes to Italy, he can fly it. So I'm thinking, what is the percentage of private drones versus the fleet or commercials? And have you considered to provide solution for B2C as opposed to just a B2B?
Yeah, great question. The percentage of consumer or hobbyist, as you would call it, to commercial is very much 70 to 30 right now. There are so many more consumer hobbyist drones in the world. The hard part is actually monetizing that, right? And being able to build things that people care about. When you're a hobbyist user, what do you care about? Is it losing your drone? Is it your drone being hacked into? We need to find those pain points. And currently that's more on the commercial side, right? The reputational damage, the financial damage if something goes wrong. So I think the second part of your question there was based on commercial users and can we access that? Is that correct?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're talking about the B2C, you can still talk to companies that make the drone, embed it, the security in their solution, right? So when I buy a drone for myself, I can be assured it's it's not gonna be hacked into, and it's not gonna fly over somewhere and get in the fly path of the Airbus, right? So
Guys, I'm going to have to cut you off there. So sorry
Sure.
for the time slot. Really appreciate your presentation today, Mike. And Peter, you can take it offline to the chat. I'm going to open it up now to our water industry, an industry that we all deeply care about with the world's water scarcity. Over to you at Swan Systems. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks very much, Lisa. I'll just share my screen. Get the right one. Okay, can you see that all right there?
All good.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna just, sorry, just get back to the beginning there. Apologies.
No worries. Thanks, Iva. Perfect.
Okay, you can see that?
All good.
Great. Okay, apologies from Tim Hyde. He was originally going to present today, but he's got waylaid by other meetings, so I've taken over. But welcome everybody to Swan Systems, the world's most advanced irrigation platform. Anyone who irrigates knows that getting it right is complex and challenging. There's so many critical factors to consider in ensuring your crop gets the right amount of water at the right time. You need to take into account crop type, growth stage, soil moisture, recent rain events, future weather events, and crop health, to name a few. As well as these crop-related factors, environmental factors including climate volatility and increasing water scarcity also need to be considered. To help you manage your irrigation needs, you need data. Precision agriculture provides this data, and it is available now. There's lots of things out there, but it comes with a variety of sources, from a variety of sources, and it exists in silos. It's very scattered and siloed. So this data really needs to be streamlined across the entire enterprise. So looking at our slide here is Tony. He's a classic example. He has 7 different data sets, and he has to figure out from that what all that data means for his farm as a whole. Now, 80% of a plant's performance is directly related to water and nutrient management. So Tony can't afford to get it wrong. Tony needs Swan Systems. It's the first and only irrigation software solution that aggregates data from a wide range of hardware and data sources. And this means that all 7 of the sensors, probes, and forecasts that Tony was tracking are integrated into the Swan platform. This means that Tony doesn't have to buy another new and expensive hardware system. He can manage his equipment using one software application. Using Swan, he gets actionable insights that are based on the data sources he already has. As well as getting insights that help him to manage his farm, Tony can also use his data to show that he is indeed making the most out of every drop of water. Swan can export his data to a system to understand, monitor, and manage his water use efficiency and productivity from his water usage. The team behind Swan Systems comes from the irrigation industry with an average of over 25 years of experience for each co-founder and a well-rounded team to bring our product to market. We've spent years building relationships with the data providers and customers and have rolled the solution out to 190 accounts across 60 customers in 7 countries. Our customers are not just from the agricultural sector though. Since our solution integrates with so many data and hardware sources, our platform is also applicable to irrigation for golf courses, schools, and public open spaces like city parks. And we estimate the total addressable market is around $24 billion. Our users have loved using our product, and as a result, we've only ever lost one paying customer. And the reason why they love it so much is because of the clear benefits our platform has provided. These benefits include an average of 30% water savings, improved crop quality and yield that increases margins by up to 50%, savings on energy, nutrients, time, and more, which in turn has a positive environmental impact. In summary, Swan makes complex farming processes simple. With proven product fit and market traction, together with our revenue pipeline, our recent $3 million capital raise has provided a firm foundation to fast-track our commercialization program. We anticipate a Series A capital raise in 2023 or 2024, with a purpose of further establishing our presence in the USA and Latin America. Thanks for your time.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ivor. And Ivor, everyone, is backed by our friends at Pure Terra Ventures, one of the leading water investors in the world. Really great to have you with us today. And I'm going to open it out to our floor for questions. Any questions from the team? Great. Gaio.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, Ivor. Really impressive what you have done in the past years. I mean, really looking what you have accomplished, it really makes me a bit jealous. Of course, I'm kidding. But
thanks.
To say a bit, about your solution and how you have succeeded in developing it. Can you tell us about your success story, about aside of your traction, can you tell us about the obstacles through the process and of course, how you have successfully coped with it?
Sure, no, thanks very much, Gaia. Look, the background of it is that the founders and some of the rest of the team as well have a very strong background in agriculture. I personally farmed for 20 odd years in irrigated agriculture. And so when we originally built the systems behind Swan Systems, we were solving our own problems. And so we came at it from a problem solving standpoint originally. And then we built the solutions through our consulting business originally to deal with the issues we were facing in irrigated agriculture. And then it was by popular demand, that we had enough interest in it to say, okay, well, this is worth commercializing. So I guess that gave us a head start at the beginning. Some of the challenges, obstacles, adoption in agriculture is difficult, and yeah, it's quite long sales cycles, but we have found that once we get a customer on board, it's very sticky. They're very sticky. So yeah, look, we have to be a bit patient, but it's getting momentum now, and we've got customers on that were part of pilot projects 4 years ago that are, we've just had one signed up for another 3 years. And so we're finding now that we've got enough reference points where that sales cycle is getting faster. It's getting easier to get that adoption. So, but agriculture is notoriously difficult for tech adoption, and people are slow and cautious. So look, I think in the end we're happy with where it's going, but we expected it all to happen overnight, which it didn't.
Thanks, Ivor. I'm going to have to cut you off there. Thanks, Gaio. I apologize to move this forward. But really impressive progress. And Ivo, as you said, it is hard to get adoption in the agri-tech industry, and the fact that you're doing so is a great testimony to your team. Well done. I'm going to hand it over now to another agriculturist transforming the planet. Nick from Farmo, over to you, mate.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, all right. I'm Nick from Farmo, and what we try and do is make ag tech easy. We all know, anyone that's ever looked after livestock or worked on a farm, that water is the absolutely critical thing on any farm, because when you run out of water, it's absolutely horrific for the livestock, and that doesn't even factor in the loss of production when animals don't have enough water every single day. Now, the problem with water, it is critical, but it always fails. This is the issue, and it's getting harder because there are less and less people on farms. Now, just to back up what I was saying, it's completely right. Ag tech has been so disappointing in terms of the uptake. Raised gazillions, but nobody uses it. Well, a few people do, right? But it's been way, way slower. And so our approach, or our understanding of this, is that it's just too complicated for the end user, for mass adoption. And there's been this kind of sneaky way about, we want to get your data, it's all good for you, but people see through that. They know you're trying to get their data cheaply, and there's just no incentive, and there's no trust that is built between the people that are trying to get your data. So what we have done is we've come up with a product that we think is a real gateway to get ag tech onto every single farm that has animals. One of the biggest challenges has been the monitoring of water in troughs. Now, there's plenty of systems out there that can monitor water in tanks, but animals don't drink from tanks. They drink from troughs. Now, it's a very, very hard place to put technology, because it's completely exposed to the environment. It's exposed to pushing and pulling and damage by the animals. So we came up with this idea of a floating device that just floats around in the trough. It's got an accelerometer inside it. It's got GPS inside it and radio inside it, so that when the level drops, the water rat, which we call this device, just tilts over and sends an alert directly to the farmer. And when the water level rises, it lifts back up and it sends another alert directly to the farmer. So the key point here is, for the farmer, one, it's bloody easy to install. You just walk out there, you throw it in the trough, no tools required, works out of the box. Okay. The second part of it is, from a CapEx for a farmer, you might have 50 troughs on your farm. That's a lot of money to monitor, but you don't put it in every trough. It's when you move the mob, you'll pick up your water rat and you move it with the mob to the next trough. And the other benefit that is that it will update automatically on your farm mapping program, which actually has had quite good uptake. A lot of farmers are using the farm mapping programs. Having said that, it also does work in tanks too. We've actually do provide a rope that comes with it. So if you've bought a couple and you want to put it in a tank, you can tether it to the top of the tank. And this is really high tech, but the length of the rope determines the exact point at which it will tilt over and alert you that the tank has dropped to whatever level. So our initial idea was not to turn farmers into screen watchers. We just want them to go about their daily business, i.e. save them time, not add stuff to their day. Go about your daily business. You'll get an alert when the level is, when the level is dropped. It'll just be pushed to your phone and you'll know there's a problem to go and fix. But what's been interesting from the users is they actually are going back to the dashboard and they are looking at the longitudinal data, and they're finding out things like, they might check their water every single morning and think everything's sweet. There's always water there, the cattle are fine. But now they're able to look at the performance of those troughs throughout the day, and they're finding things like, oh, this paddock, the water's going empty every single day at 2 to 3 p.m. And you imagine that's not catastrophic, but the production losses, they're in the business of growing beef, from that are significant. And it's an easy fix. You've either got too many cattle in that paddock or your pipe to the trough is not big enough. So what we are trying to do is give them a very simple product that has an unambiguous alert that drives a specific action, but we're also finding that over time they are starting to collect this data and starting to see the use of collecting data and analyze it. We've had this program on the market since December, and we validated it in government trials. And you can go online and have a look at the Kybis robot. They've got a 3D sort of demonstration farm where it's been trialed and tested amongst the other major industry water monitoring devices. They have done the calculations. They've gone deep into the costing of water monitoring and the benefits. And the figures are there, but it's more graphically displayed in this chart. And I have been scolded by the self-appointed leader of the ag tech industry in Australia for showing this slide, but I'm just going to show it again, because what it's showing you is, doesn't matter what device you use, the returns are exactly the same. And the only other element in an ROI calculation is the cost. So if you have a simple device like the Water Rat that can deliver exactly the same result at a much lesser cost with no installation and no training or anything like that, you're going to get a massively better ROI. And the other part about this slide, if you look closely, you'll see that actually everybody's solution has a great ROI. Everybody's is fantastic. So it's not to diminish anyone else, but it just shows you the comparison of what our product does to the rest of the market and how that's why we feel we're going to be able to break down this barrier to digital adoption. When you get involved in putting gear on farms, you have to give them more. If they're going to invest their time in looking at a dashboard, so we provide them with a dashboard, and we end up selling them a whole lot of other products that we develop, electric fence sensors, more traditional tank monitors, and we're also pushing data back to turn troughs on and off. We've got all of these things up and easily accessible via our website. The pricing is transparent. That's quite unusual in this industry. It's just like buying a pair of socks. Jump online, you click it, it gets delivered. The market size in Australia is not huge. There's 44,000 sheep and cattle farms. That's enough to keep us busy. But what we're really doing right now is looking at America. We've just enabled our devices with global roaming SIMs so we can ship them there out of the box. And that's going to be our focus for the next year or so. Just where we sit in the market compared to everybody else is we're movable, which means that we are, if you have a device that's floating in water, it offers no resistance to an applied force. So you get a 1,000 kilogram bull that's pushing on it, it just nudges it and floats away. Whereas the others are fixed in place, so they're subject to damage, and anything fixed in place, they're all costing a lot more to install as well.
Thanks, Nick. I'm going to cut you off there, mate. And cool. I'm going to hand you over to Peter, who's got a burning question for you.
Okay. Yeah, I just wonder how you power it. What is the effort from farmers to make it sure that the devices are active?
Yeah, so there's two things on the alert. One, you get an alert when it tips over, and also, so these devices only transmit a message when it tilts over, or plus twice a day they send a heartbeat. So if you don't get a message for 25 hours, you get an alert that says, hey, you've lost connectivity, go and check your device, because the last thing you want to do is be under the impression that all your animals are being looked after when you don't have connectivity. And connectivity can go down because these work off the network. And if the network's doing maintenance or something, you just need that message to know, hey, we've seen no data for 24 hours. So
thanks, Nick. That's a great answer. And over to you, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Hey, Nick. We've looked at a lot of devices that sit on farm. Can you talk through what your expected life cycle of a unit might be, given that they do get smashed, trodden on, and all sorts of things, and what happens if the unit is compromised and its electronics are exposed to the water? So what's the longest one's been in operation in field?
The longest that one's been in operation is kind of November. We can't really do that. That's just, we're not going to sit around for 10 years and wait till we launch. But we've gone through all of the design, design around for this device to last in the water for 10 years. O-rings, the design for a waterproof enclosure has been, perfected over a fair while. O-rings and tight seals, and that's it. And to be honest, we get much less damage on this device because it's floating, doesn't have an external antenna. It's floating, so there's no resistance to any force applied. It gets a bit of mold on it. That's about it.
Okay, so its longevity might actually work against you because it's so efficient that the farmer doesn't need to replace them very often. What are the unit metrics?
No, it's a SaaS model. So, no, I don't want to replace it that often. We're very happy to keep it working out there in the field because when it stops, that's the end of our subscription. That's what sort of binds us to the farmer, that we want to provide them with a device that lasts us for a long time, because while it's working, they're paying their subscription.
Yeah, great. And roughly unit economics, how many units do you think the Australian market sort of is accessible in the next couple of years?
Yeah, well, we think, so just the one that is the slide that ended up on screen is one of the mapping programs. We've got 28,000 customers. So we think, and we're doing integration with them now, so we think we can get devices on to, most of their, very close to most of their customers, because everybody that has animals, when you now have a device that can give you monitor their water in real time, they want it. So, okay, let's say 40,000 in Australia. Sorry, Lisa.
Thanks, Nick. I appreciate that, mate. I'm going to hand it over now to Ash. Nick, thanks for your time and your presentation today. I'm going to make sure that this goes into the hands of my Latin American VC friends. We work with CITES in Argentina. We work with the guys at I Think VC in Chile. And I'm one of the proud champions in the Women in Agritech VC community. So we'll make sure that for all of the Agritech founders here today, that you get seen more broadly across the US and Latin American markets. Without further ado, I'm now going to bring it over to Ash. Ash, you're an absolute champion. I've hauled you in here last minute because I know the value of the product that you have. Please take it away.
Thank you so much. And I'll try and get the energy really high up because I'm sure everyone's really tired at the end of the day. So I'm just gonna, do you want me to just share my screen?
Yes, please.
Right. Cool. Can everyone see that?
Sure can.
Awesome. Okay, I'll just get into it then. Great. So I'm Ashley, founder of Monty Compost Co. And I hope you're excited to hear the word compost more times in 5 minutes than you probably ever have in your life. So hang on. Is it working? There we go. So today's food system, it suffers from a fundamental unsustainable disconnect. Over half of the food that we produce is grown using fossil fuel-based fertilizers that experience critical shortages like what we're seeing in Russia right now. We then send 40% of that food that we've grown straight to landfill, where it causes around 3% of total worldwide global emissions. And this has taken almost 100 gigatons of carbon from the atmosphere, which is about 3 years worth of humanity's total emissions. But despite all of these really grim problems, there is an incredibly simple solution, which is compost. Compost reconnects our food waste back into our food systems, reducing the need for chemical fertilizers and removing emissions from the atmosphere. But composting can be kind of hard and confusing, which is where we come in. With Monty, we are making compost easy, fast, and fun for everyone, everywhere. Meet Monty, our world first IoT compost monitoring system that I've actually got here for some show and tell later. So Monty Monitor is our compost tracking device that can be used in smart homes and smart cities. You simply plunge it into your compost, where Monty continuously monitors the temperature, humidity, and volatile organic compounds gases that are emitted from the surface of your compost and transmits it to Monty Mobile, which is our cross-platform mobile app that you can actually download a beta version of right now for free, just FYI. So we use that data to conduct machine learning analytics that generate customized management instructions that increases the rate of decomposition. This data is also used in a whole host of supporting features, including gamification, waste and impact tracking, education, and much more. Our market for Monty is any kind of composter. While we're starting with individual households, Monty can easily be adapted for use in schools, planned communities, councils, and that's not all. All our future opportunities span the entire global food system. Beyond expansion, obviously, into new geographic markets, Monty's technology will be absolutely critical in high volume commercial composting, decentralized organic waste management, and soil-based agricultural applications. So how exactly are we going to achieve all of these big ambitions? Our management team is highly experienced and educated and young and hungry. Without taking too much of our time on this, together we've covered all the bases that are needed to lead Monty on this mission, and as we have also in our supporting in-house team and product partners. Our journey with Monty started way back in 2019 when I solo founded Monty with a mission to bring composting to the entire world. And in that time, I've built an incredible team around this mission, and together we've raised funding, we've conducted a stupid amount of design iterations and tests, engaged with our market, and so much more. And this has actually brought us to now where, with really good timing, and I was about to tell you guys, Mark and Phil, we completed our first commercial assembly of 1,000 Monty monitors. There we are, which are available for general sale in Australia next month. Now, we were able to do all of this on less than 1 million AUD, which shows our high level of capital efficiency despite being in the typically very expensive hardware industry. So what now then? Well, at Monty, we believe in a world where everyone, everywhere can compost their organic waste. Over the next 12 months, we'll have deployed our full inventory, be kicking off another manufacturing batch of several thousand more units, and be selling internationally. But over the next 12 years, we want to have zero organic waste in landfills and a fully compost connected food system. And hopefully some of the people here today will also want that with us. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm keen to take your questions, connect with anyone who's too tired to ask anything. And yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Ash. I think you've made composting more exciting than anyone ever on the planet. And what an exciting mission.
Hard. It's not a very exciting topic.
No, it's really exciting. And the impact it can have on the planet is extraordinary. So can I hand it over to you, Peter, the king of hardware?
Yeah, I mean, my question is not about the hardware. My question is very simple. So, okay, I have this and I measure my compost, and then what? You tell me that this is the right time to apply it, or what is the final outcome?
So exactly, instructions like that are customized to the data that your compost is emitting. So potentially the easiest example could be we analyze your carbon nitrogen ratio, and we might detect that it's out of balance for the stage of composting that it should be. So we'll give you a customized instruction saying, hey, here are a list of the feedstock types such as dried leaves or food waste or paper recycles that you can add to it, and the amounts to rectify that balance. So really making, I guess, the science of composting accessible so that people don't have to go through 4 years of researching the area like I've had to in order to do it effectively and quickly.
Okay, and you also provide suggestion because every produce has a different requirements for, you know, level of nitrogen and all that stuff. You also do that, or
Correct,
you just give a chemical composition?
Correct. So all our current analysis is catered to small scale composting. So that's things like in your backyard and community gardens and schools and things like that, where certain feedstocks are more predominant, such as food waste and garden waste. But in future, it's definitely quite like straightforward to go to feedstocks like manure or industrial waste or things like that.
Okay, so who's your primary target? Who's your primary target? Is it a B2C or a B2B?
So if we go back here, who we're currently targeting is, individual households. We identified after going through kind of all the potential markets, because there's so many composters out there, we identified that they had the lowest barrier to entry and also were the most eager. You had the most excited innovator portion of the population. And so by targeting that one first, what it will do is allow us to capture a substantial amount of data that lets us do those more sophisticated analysis models for example, commercial composters or agricultural applications. Like this is a very novel area of research, and we know that we needed to get the data required to do this with the quite straightforward hardware that we have. So that's kind of how we decided to do this approach market-wise.
All right, and Gayo, one last question for you over in Europe.
Thank you, Lisa. I'll try to be fast as possible. Ash, really great presentation, and I would imply that it was so interactive that I really enjoyed about the compost. But when I was learning about composting while I was studying agricultural economics, I wasn't enjoying it at all. So, because my professor wasn't, not that he wasn't interactive, but he was so quite boring. So
yeah.
As far as my question, it doesn't concern any technical ability of your software. I would like to know more about if you raise money from this event or any other, how are you going to spend it? What is your weight ratio? Is it going to be on marketing or software development? And of course, additionally, can you say a bit about how far you went with your software development?
Yeah, so I'll address that first one first, I guess. So our kind of plan for our next series is to do around probably $500,000 to $1 million of venture debt financing to do another round of manufacturing, because obviously we don't want to be dedicating growth capital there. And then we'd also like to do around $1 million of growth capital in order to bring on more developers, kind of spend probably about 10% of it on marketing and advertising, just to really crack that, I suppose, consumer market, as well as just kind of scaling up operations teams in order to support an international push. Obviously, our first markets are Europe and the US / Canada. But yeah, all of the kind of supporting infrastructure that we'll need to put in place to take our current Australian team to those other markets would be our next, I guess, raise. And that other question, you said how far we've gotten with the software. So I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
So currently we have,
your current updates. What's the next step in software development?
The next step is taking what we currently have in the analysis and what we've currently put together in the app, and with this first high volume of users, refine that for everyone. We've been able to make development decisions based on our small initial pool of users, which has been around 50 highly committed composters. But, every composter is different, and we need much more feedback in order to refine the software offering for them.
So generally, you need a bigger base of users who are going to, from whom you're going to receive information to test your software and to see where you're standing with.
Correct. And that's exactly what this first kind of batch of units is for.
Thank you very much, and all the best in your future endeavor.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ash. Really appreciate you closing out the show today. We are just aggregating votes, judges. Thank you very much for wrapping that up. I've got the team in the Ukraine helping us right now And I would like to congratulate our winners. So round of applause. We have in third place, Dronesec. Congratulations, Mike. Well done. And thanks for taking out the third place here today. Second place goes to Truth, our team in Sydney. So we've got one in Melbourne, one in Sydney. And finally, the #1 place comes to our VC turned entrepreneur, X0 Carbon, Julian Ulig. Congratulations, Julian. You are going to go through the Asia Pacific finals, and that will be held in the fall. Thank you everyone for your contributions today. This is not a wasted effort. I know Australia is completely over pitch competitions and you're absolutely exhausted from no outcomes. That's not our mission. I am excited to take this broadcast live to my cohort at Coolwater Capital, which is comprised of 4 cohorts of the highest performing emerging managers in the world who are currently deploying recently closed funds and have funds that raise from 20 to 150 million with a ton of dry powder. I'm also excited to share you with our women VC communities, our global women VC community, our She VC community in Asia, and our European women in VC community, all who are doubling in size year on year and have a ton of dry powder despite Sequoia's emails. And finally, I'm really excited to share you with our Asia VC community, the agritech opportunities in Southeast Asia, and indeed in India with our new free trade agreement between Australia and India are exponential. And of course, China is still a very strong open market for us all. We will be sharing this video with our team at Austrade in Singapore, who'll be looking for market opportunities for you across the ASEAN. So thank you very much for your time here today. Please stay in touch. I'll get everyone to throw your LinkedIn in the chat so that everybody can connect with you later. You can connect with me live at R3I Ventures and R3I Capital here. My name is Lisa Slood. I'm the general partner, and we are delighted at R3I to help you on your journey. Thanks to our friends at Mandalay Ventures and Innovation Architects for joining us from sunny Queensland and driving home the effort to a net zero economy. Thank you to our friends in Vietnam for all you're doing to transform the Asia Pacific and indeed ASEAN in the context of a net zero economy. And thank you to our friend, Crazy John Kujiro Moriwaka, the King of Japan, the man who is running the ecosystem and who can take you to the nearest party that will help you rapidly connect into the local corporate innovation ecosystem. Thank you to Gaia for all your fantastic questions today. Thank you for flying the flag from Belgrade. We sincerely appreciate your contributions. And thank you to our teams in DC and San Francisco. Thank you to our dearest friend, Tom. We've loved having you with us. We miss you. Please come and be with us again soon. Thank you for all that you've done for our community. We're really grateful. And I hope I haven't missed anybody here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to seeing you at our next Unicorn Cup. We are going live from Arizona on the 9th of June, live with the Mayo Clinic, live with the Flynn Foundation, and live with Arizona Commerce. So if you're into the field of MedTech judges, into the field of healthcare, please join us at our next Unicorn Pitch event. Thank you, founders. Please keep in touch, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for taking your time.
Yep.
Thank you, Lisa. It was wonderful.
Thank you,
the
everyone.
first Australian.
Oh, wait, let's have a picture.
Pictures.
One last picture before we go. I have taken a few today, but just for John's LinkedIn and social media posts, he is the king of photographs. Just 1 second, and let me remove all the spotlights. And
what are you holding there, John?
All righty, everybody. So live at Unicorn, smile. Awesome. Thank you all. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye now.
Thank you, Lisa. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day.